Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show with your hosts, Rusty Buckets and Uncle Buck. Now, let's get to the show.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to your Wednesday edition of the Two Buck Sports Show. I am your co-host, Rusty Buckets, here with you. Checking those beautiful Wednesday. The weather has been perfect this week, and it's giving college football, right? We've had some cooler mornings. The humidity's been a little bit lower. I think the low Thursday morning here in Memphis is like 58 degrees. And I've heard rumors of that we've never been more back. And I don't think I could disagree with that, because not only do we have college football back, we finished up week 0 last weekend. We got week 1 coming up this weekend. But we have our first live college football Saturday show this Saturday at 1:30 at Grind City Brewing. Super stoked about what that's going to look like. There's so many more details to come, so much cool stuff that's going to be happening. And I couldn't have a better guest on today to talk about that than my guy, Zach Callaghan of Grind City Brewing, who's going to be helping us with the show, who helped kind of get this partnership going. As Uncle Buck is out traveling this week, he's gone Wednesday through Friday, so you're going to get me and some special guests throughout the rest of the week, just covering his absence as he's out at a Power Ranging convention, learning how to morph and be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and all the things that they do at Power Ranger conventions. But super excited to have Zach join me today. We're going to talk college football. We're going to talk one of my favorite subjects, beer, after the break, and get this party started. Zach, my guy, what's going on, buddy?
Rusty, what's up, man? You said it best. We have never been more back, man. I mean, it is just, I couldn't be more fired up, obviously, to be here on the show with you guys. But I mean, I'm sitting here at Grind City right now. I got the sweatshirt on. I mean, that's how great it feels out. I mean, I'm just, it officially feels like college football, and I'm so ready for Saturday. I'm so fired up.
You and me both, man. This past Saturday, we had the first inklings of college football, right? No real great games, but it was football nonetheless. And like an ugly Kansas State, Iowa State game out in Dublin. Did you watch any of that game?
Yeah, I was able to catch most of it. I was up here at the brewery. We had it on, just getting ready for, testing everything out for this upcoming weekend. But I was up here watching it, and just being able to wake up and turn on the TV and hear the guys getting ready, previewing the games, and then to come up here and just have a game on the TV. You're right. It was a gross game. It was over in Ireland. They had all the problems with the field and the weather and, everything like that. But it didn't matter. There was football on my TV.
Yes.
That's all I can ask for.
I'm not sure I had a more like guys weekend than I had last weekend. It's been talked about on the shows already, but I had, we had college football that was back. We had our League of Avengers fantasy football draft on Saturday night. And I bought my first sixer of Oktoberfest beer. And I'm just, and I lost my first bet of the year, full degenerate status, betting on Kansas State. I took Kansas State, I took Hawaii, and I took Western Kentucky to cover. And I hit on 2 out of 3 legs of my parlay. But then again, if I hit every parlay that I had 2 out of 3 legs on, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be sitting on my own island somewhere in the Caribbean. But it was just a weekend for the boys, and couldn't have been a better weekend for sure.
Oh yeah, I relate to that all too much. I went 0 for 5 on my bets this weekend. So your good friends at FanDuel were taking all my money. So
yeah, more on FanDuel to come here in a little bit, that's for sure. But since I had Zach on here today, and it is Wednesday, we do our Real versus Counterfeit segment here every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central, when we are live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Central on Bluff City Media's YouTube and X page, also on my X page. Y'all come on over to YouTube and hang out with us here. Hop in the comments. We see y'all here. Come hang out with us. Let us know what your thoughts are on college football this past weekend and what's coming up. And definitely let us know if you're going to be hanging out with us this weekend at Grind City Brewing at 1:30 for our show. But we got kickoff earlier than that. But before we get to that, Zach, I do want to talk about one of my favorite subjects in the world, and that is beer. I am you can look at me and be like, that's a guy that works out, but he doesn't say no to a good cold beer. And that's what I'm trying to live my life as. And so I got a couple of beer takes that I want to run by you and see what you think. As a beer connoisseur like myself, you work for a brewery, I want to know your takes. And so first and foremost, My favorite beers are the ones you can't see through. I like stouts. I like porters. I really like ambers and reds, but especially stouts and porters. So my first question for you, Zach, is it real or counterfeit that stouts and porters are only meant for the winter?
I think there needs to be a little, I'm going to say real. I'm going to say real with a little bit of a note that like fall, I think you got to have like a sweatshirt on kind of. I mean, for me personally, that's kind of where I'm at. Like once the fall turns and I got a sweatshirt on and stuff like that. I mean, I'm with you, multi beers with a Scottish ale, a porter. The stouts sometimes are a little too much for me, but that good multi beer is my favorite. But I gotta say, in the middle of the summer, I don't see myself reaching for one. I just don't. But it's one of those things that makes it almost even better because then I have that anticipation all year.
Yeah.
I will say one little note is like a Guinness or a Nitro-y stout. That's a lighter body, that kind of thing. Like we make a soul beer that we do in the summer here. That's like very similar.
Yeah.
I can do those all year long, but overall, I'm gonna say it's a winter beer.
Yep, I agree. As much as I love stouts and porters, like I at least gotta have jeans on. It may not have to be jeans and hoodie weather, but at least jeans on. On occasion in the summertime at night, like if I'm winding down and I've had like a good meal and I want like a good dessert, I'll do like a chocolate stout, or especially if it's like a spicy chocolate stout, like whether it's like a jalapeno or habanero chocolate kind of stouts. I've had some of those. There's one. It's a white chocolate stout by Legal Remedy out of Asheville, North Carolina. That's a good year-round stout because it's still kind of clear and it's a little bit not so like full flavored. But you're right, man. Once you start getting to the burr months, like September, October, November, like I am all about heavy motor oil type beers, and I want to try them all. I like the coffee stouts. I like the oatmeal stouts. I like anything that's dark and heavy and just like a full body beer. It's definitely made for the wintertime. Sitting around a fire or at a tailgate, giving you whatever your choice of activity is.
Oh yeah, 100%. Definitely. Once a fire gets brought out, like a bonfire situation in the fall, I'm like, sign me up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Thaddeus from Grind City is one of the first ones that I reach for. Every time I come down there, that's what I'm drinking. I love y'all's Thaddeus Red Ale. Like, why is it so good, and why can I not quit drinking them?
Well, I think a key point to what you said, because you said ale. It's a lager. So So that's the thing is that like those ales are always heavier and stuff. I mean, I drink Thaddeus all year long because it has all those like malty, like rich notes you're looking for, but it's a lager, not an ale. So it's not going to sit as heavy. It's still light. In the summer, I throw a lime in there. Little fatty daddy is what we call it. Oh, so good.
See, that's why I had you on. You're a connoisseur. You know what you're talking about. You know how to drink these, and I'd never thought to throw a lime in a Thaddeus, and so may have to check that out. I got some in the fridge right now, so I'll have to check that out here soon. But speaking of summer, I've got some friends that aren't like their expansion of beer is they're either drinking Michelob or Miller Lite, and that's it. That's their taste of beer. So I don't know that I necessarily trust their beer opinion, and that's where this next one comes from. I want your take on this. But IPAs, real or counterfeit, IPAs are just overpriced grapefruit juice.
I mean, this is counterfeit as counterfeit comes. I mean, if you were going to hit me with one of these, like, are IPAs, are there too many IPAs? Are they overrated? Are they not drink? Look, there's certainly some things you can say about IPAs. I personally am a huge fan, but look, man, IPAs are great. And that is like the things you hear from people is like that haven't developed their palates enough is what I like to say, right?
Fair.
Is because they're hard to get used to. I remember the first time I had an IPA and I was like, I don't really know what's going on here. And then you try a couple, you find your entry level ones and you get into it. But there's so many, and the grapefruit is like, that's not with every IPA. Like you're going to get piney ones, you're going to get fruitier ones, you're going to get juicier ones, but it's a very vast, expansive style of beer. And I truly think that like there's an IPA for everyone out there. You just got to kind of be willing to try and figure out what you like and start out with some of those beginner ones that aren't crazy. Because I don't even like the ones that are like 47 different hops and the most bitter thing in the world. It's like, no. We want a good drinkable beer. And like, that's what we do at Grind City, is try to make good, easy drinking beers of all kinds. And like our God Hopper's our staple IPA, which I think is like a great entry level one. And then we'll do some more fun stuff. You were up here the other day. You had the Rice IPA that just came out.
I was going to ask if you could kind of talk about the Rice IPA versus like your hazy IPA and the God Hopper. Like, what are the kind of the differences there?
Yeah. So we just put this Rice one on. That's like
10 out of 10.
I think, yes, super great. I think it's a perfect like entry level IPA too, because it's super light and clean. You still get a little bit of the fruitiness and a little bit of like the bitter flavor that you're looking for, but not too much. It's definitely an IPA, but it's super delicious, super easy drinking. I think that's one for like an entry level person who's like, I don't really know. It's either start there with something light, crisp, clean, or start with something that's like super fruity if you're more into a fruitier beer. And that's kind of like the other hazy juicy that we have on right now. That one's definitely more like grapefruit right in your face. You get all those fruity flavors. It's super nice. And then God Hopper is just like, it's a hazy still, less juicy though. And it just is like, let's say if like the Rice is like your entry, it's like a beginner level then, where it's like not going to kill you with bitterness. It's got a little bit of fruitiness, tons of flavor. And once you start to drink them and you start to figure out like, okay, well, I like this and I like that. There's so many different versions out there to really like lock in the flavor that you like. But it's like anything, you have to find a taste for it. I mean, look, I like a light beer as much as the next guy, but every once in a while you're like, I need a little something extra here, you know?
Exactly. Especially if you're like eating something that's a bit more rich, or if you're eating something, you know, like beer is made to go with things, just like you've got different wine pairings, you got different whiskey pairings. I think there's beer pairings, right? Like it's hard to beat, like I've been there, right? It's hard to beat a good Busch Light and a whole bunch of chicken wings. Like that's fair. But like you can get these IPAs that can pair really well with a burger or really well with a pizza or really well with different types of foods. And like you can really have a culinary experience that's on a next level.
Can I tell you my favorite beer and food pairing that's like way outside the box?
Hit me.
Okay. A nice, juicy, hazy IPA with sour gummy worms or like Sour Patch Kids. Ooh. It is like if big movie guy, you know this about me. When I go to the movies on like a Friday night, I'm getting like the crawly sour gummy worms and God. Like 1 to 2 IPAs. I don't know what it is. Something about like the bitterness and the fruitiness and the sour. It's my go-to move. And everyone, when I tell them that, they're like, that sounds disgusting. It is elite. I'm telling you, you got to try it.
I'm in because I love sour. I love the bitterness of IPAs. You might have just created a whole new food combination for me. I'm probably going to go out this afternoon, go straight to Kroger, get some Sour Patch. I'm going to come to Grind City. I'm going to grab some IPAs. I'm going to come home and I'm going to try it out for sure.
Dude, I'm telling you, elite combo.
I'm in. So the last one is not so much a real versus counterfeit. I didn't prep you for this, so I own that. But one of my favorite things to talk about is like, what is the best beer? And I've got my favorite beers like of all time. And so my list, for example, my number one beer, best beer is post-yard work. You're sweaty, you just got done mowing the yard, you weed-eated, you've trimmed, you've edged, you're lined up looking perfect, like your yard just stepped out of the barber chair, and you crack open that cold beer, and it's like, yeah, like that is satisfying to me. So it's the first one is a post-yard work beer. Number 2 is an airport beer. There's just something about an airport beer that just hits. And especially because you can have one at 6 o'clock in the morning and nobody's going to judge you because you're in an airport where there is no parameters, rules, or time constraints to when you can consume alcohol. And so number 2 for me is an airport beer. Number 3 being a beach beer. Like it's hard to beat a beach beer. Number 4 being a golf course beer. And then a newer one that like Maggie introduced me to is my 5th one is an airport / new job beer that I had on my way back from Denver. They're local. So Zach, give me a couple. What are your favorite beers? And there's, it could be scenario driven or life phase driven. Give me a few of your favorite beers.
Yeah, I like this. It's very topical in the beer world right now because of that Ben DiNucci tweet. Or did you see that? Yeah.
Exactly.
So we were all just talking about this the other day because we were like, I mean, after getting cut 7 times from the NFL, airport beer has to be, because that's like a combination of the elite airport beer, which I think we can all agree is like top 5, no matter how you spin it. I mean, I'm going to take the first one that came to mind when I was listening to your list was I'm going to take your beach beer and I'm going to raise you a lake beer. I think the lake, something about the lake. I'm a lake guy. I love the beach too, but like growing up in Georgia, lakes everywhere, growing up going to the lake all the time. There's something about like a day in front of you where it's like you don't have to worry about, you know, the sand and the heat and going back and changing to go out for dinner. And there's a lot going on when you're at the beach, which I love. Sure. But the lake is like when you wake up in the morning, you walk on that dock. It's like all I see in front of me is these beers I'm about to delete. And that is like that first lake beer is next level. I think a game day beer is definitely like literally the first beer I had on Saturday with like football on. Like I came up here and I just like was doing some stuff, getting everything ready for an event we had, and then got all that wrapped up. And I was like, I'm gonna do a beer before I go home, watch a little bit of this game. Game day beer hits, and I mean, it's going to hit even different for me on Friday, which I know we'll get into when the Auburn Tigers play.
Yep.
But that first game day beer, you're just like everything's still possible in that day. Yeah. And then the last one I'm going to give you is the next beer.
Yeah, the next beer is always solid, man. What
the
a
next
good
beer.
Call.
I mean, you're just you're having a beer and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna have another.
Yeah.
Give me one. I mean, that is that feeling when you're like, yeah, I'm going for another one. That beer is, when that beer comes to you, it hits different.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm telling you, that first beer on Saturday at Grind City is going to hit my hand like Thor's hammer. Just bam. And I'm going to be ready to go on Saturday, geared up for the game day show. But hey, appreciate you talking beer with me. We do have, speaking of, a lot of college football to talk about. We've got a lot of exciting things happening this weekend. You've got, we're so back. We've got the number 1 team versus the number 3 team in the AP poll. We've got Alabama going to Florida State. LSU Clemson State plays Ole Miss. By the time we record on Saturday, you'll either have your heart broken or can be still excited about Auburn football. And we'll talk about all of that after this quick commercial break.
Looking for an alternative to alcohol or conventional medicine? Check out Ounce of Hope, a Memphis-based dispensary with 2 local stores in the Sanderland Center and on South Cooper Street. You can get all the products you need in a location convenient to you. Each store offers an intentional shopping experience with dedicated bud tenders to answer all of your questions, from product selection and mushroom blends to our personal favorite, the Delta 9 seltzers. You gotta try the Peach Buzz. Try Ounce of Hope at either one of their 2 Memphis stores or at www.ounceofhope.com for convenient products shipped right to your door. Use the promo code BluffCity for 15% off any order, excluding sale items. Cannot be used in conjunction with other promotions or discounts. One use per customer.
Malik Beasley is no longer a target in the federal investigation that the FBI is conducting. Quote, months after this investigation commenced, Malik remains uncharged and is not the target of this investigation. An allegation with no charge, indictment, or conviction should never have the catastrophic consequence this has caused Malik. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's about to change from the NBA to the NBA as Malik Beasley sues the NBA for all he's worth and changes it to the Malik Beasley Association, because I would absolutely be livid.
He was going to sign a $42 million contract over the span of 3 years. He's now filed bankruptcy. It's like, I mean, good.
And he could have $42 million across 3 years from the Pistons, who were eager to give it to him. Like, it was going to be one of the early signings in free agency. He earned it.
Tune in to The Daily Grind with your host, Lute Hatmaker, every Monday through Friday at 7:30 a.m. live on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. In the heart of the Highland Strip for 27 years, Trilogy Tattoo has helped tell stories for Memphians for generations. Located at 530 South Highland, Richie and his team are waiting to help you tell yours.
From tattoos to piercings, your body art should be as unique as you are. Voted a Memphis Flyer top 3 tattoo shop in the city of Memphis since day one. Your story will be safe here at Trilogy Tattoo.
Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 11 to 11, and 3 to 11 on Sundays. They have convenient times waiting on you. Let Trilogy Tattoo help you tell your story.
Welcome back to the $2 Sports Show. I am your co-host, Rusty Buckets, coming to you here live on Bluff City Media's YouTube page. Got my guy, Zach Callaghan of Grind City Brewing with me today. And Zach, it is time, man. We are just days away from the much-anticipated college football Saturday show live at Grind City Brewing. Let's run down the lineup to kind of get everybody prepped for it. So tell me what's going to be on the projector screen there at Grind City on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm so fired up, man. It's going to be a blast. So we're kicking things off with just marquee matchups after marquee matchups for week 1. So excited for that. So on the projector with the sound and everything like that, we have Texas at Ohio State to kick things off. Then we have Bama at Florida State. And then we're ending things for the evening with LSU at Clemson. You guys are going to be doing the college football live show at 1:30. So I'll be on there with you guys for that. And that's going to be super fun, super excited about that. And that'll give us, right after the first game, Texas, Ohio State, we can get into all of that and see what happened with that. And then, talk about the games that evening and everything else going on in college football, because those will be the games with the sounds and the projector. But, we have other TVs here. We're going to have a bunch of different games on. And this year we are opening at 11. So come up here. We'll be open at 11. Put your favorite team on the TV, and let's kick things off the right way.
Yeah, because at Grind City, they have quite a few TVs that we can put your game on, right? Like whether you're at a table or you're sitting around, there's other TVs, but the big projector screen is where we're going to be broadcasting and going to have the marquee matchups of the day. Starting at 11 o'clock, of course, we're talking about the Mississippi State Bulldogs playing the Southern Miss Golden Eagles, right?
Yep. That's the marquee matchup that everybody's been waiting for all season.
Well, I know that's the one I've been waiting for all season. So we'll have that one on ATV, I'm sure. But of course, at 11 a.m., it's interesting, with these new TV deals, right? We no longer have the 2:30 SEC on CBS, which is like, I don't know that I'm going to miss Gary Danielson just being all over Alabama, like a prom day. You know what I mean? Just like it just drove me nuts how much he loved Alabama. And Vern Lundquist, God bless him, like it was an era that was starting to come to a close. But it was a huge part of my childhood growing up. But because of that, we're going to be getting a lot more early kickoffs. And for the first time ever at 11 a.m., we're getting the number 1 team in the AP poll against the number 3 team in the AP poll when Texas travels to Columbus and plays Ohio State. And, Zach, I don't know about you, but I'm excited for this matchup. Obviously, it's 2 huge blue bloods. It's 2 perennial powerhouses. It's a rematch of the college football playoffs last year where Ohio State got the better of Texas. But I'm curious, we'll start kind of at the quarterback matchup because you've got Arch Manning, who has just enough experience under his belt at Texas to call it that, right? It was Quinn Ewers' team last year, and he played well against Mississippi State and in some moments kind of plug and play against an unproven former 5-star recruit, Julian Sayin, who has been named the freshman. He's a redshirt freshman, been named the starting quarterback for Ohio State. Who do you give the nod to there at the quarterback position, Arch or Julian Sayin at Ohio State?
I think I give the nod to Arch just from what we've seen so far. But of course, to me, it's more about like if we're just putting those 2 out and we're just comparing them, head to head. I think Arch gets the nod. But everything with the quarterback position is about the guys you have around you, how you fit into the system, and I think a big thing for saying, I was listening to some people talk this week. So my dad No, my dad is a diehard Ohio State fan. So I have to hear about Ohio State 24/7. So I know more about the Buckeyes than I should. And so, I was talking to him and listening to some stuff that he was sending me, and was saying it's like Ohio State has the receivers. Obviously, Jeremiah Smith, but they have a bunch of other dogs in the receiver position. And his whole thing is the accuracy. He's going to get the ball to them on time, or that's what they're hoping for at least, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think with Hartline moving in as the OC this year, former Ohio State receiver, obviously has been an incredible recruiter for them and making them bring in all this top talent. I think his main objective is going to be to get the playmakers the football. And I think Sayan's going to do a great job of doing that. But on the other side, I don't know if Sayan has the big play ability that Arch does. I think Arch has the star power to go in there and just take over a game. He can run the ball. He can make the throws he needs to make. And he just seems like he has that winning quarterback attitude and leadership ability that I think in the fourth quarter of these big games is just so important to have.
And that's huge. That's where you see that experience and playing in the SEC, week in and week out, and actually having starts and complete games under your belt will play into it in the fourth quarter, in crunch time. If you're down by 3 or down by a touchdown on the road, do you have the moxie and do you have the trust of your teammates to get you down, to get into the position and to get down the field to get a score? And I think Arch fits what Sark has wanted at quarterback ever since he was at Alabama as the OC and now as the head coach at Texas. It just feels like Arch Manning is the prototypical Sark quarterback who can run the ball really well, who sees the field really well, but also trusts his reads. Because that was the thing about Arch is yes, he ran the ball effectively when he was in there, but you can see he is not afraid to kind of step up in the pocket, give plays time to develop, trust the timing, and trust his receivers to get open. Now, Matthew Golden's not running out there running routes. Isaiah Bond, some of these guys are gone, so it's going to be different receivers out there. But if you know anything about Texas and Sark, you talked about Ohio State being able to recruit. There's an argument there that Ohio State has been wide receiver U recently with all the pro products from Olave and Harrison Jr. and all the guys that they put into the pros over the last few years. But Texas is no slouch at receiver either. And so, they lost a couple of big guys. Again, Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, and Gunnar Helm are gone. But I look for Texas to kind of retool. The biggest problem, and one of the other matchups that I want to talk about there for a second, is the Texas offensive line. They lost 3 of their starters. They're having brand new guys step up and play against a high-powered, ferocious Ohio State defense led by safety Caleb Downs. Yes, they lost Jack Sawyer, but I think Ohio State's defense is going to be another key for them in the Big Ten this year. And it'll be tested early by Texas's speed. But I'm going to be watching that Texas offensive line to see how they handle Ohio State up front, who, if it's anything like we saw last year, is going to have guys that blitz a lot and they run a lot of stunts to kind of create chaos up front, Zach. And I think that's going to be another key matchup on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ohio State's defense just seems to reload every single year. And they finally, it seems in the last couple of years, they had the classic Big Ten bruisers for so long, but now they have so much speed that was clear last year. I mean, kind of why they've struggled against Michigan a little bit, in my opinion, but they've been building defenses that match up better against SEC offenses. And so, I mean, and that was shown when they played Texas last year in the college football playoff, and I think they reloaded again there. Obviously, different DC. I mean, both coordinators for Ohio State are coming in for their first year, but I would expect to see more of the same out of Ohio State. They seem to have a system down that they kind of just reload it every year, kind of like Georgia right now. They just keep reloading in all this talent. For me, if we're talking about defensive units that I'm going to be paying attention to, it's Texas's secondary. I mean, they have a killer secondary. I think Pro Football folks was saying that they're number 1 secondary in all football. So, Malik Muhammad, absolute dog, and some of the other guys that they have back there in that secondary are going to be tested right away against Jeremiah Smith. And to me, it's those two Ohio State's receivers and Texas's secondary, I think ultimately is probably what's going to decide the game, because if Saban's not able to get his guys the ball the way he wants to, then it's Ohio State's going to struggle.
Yeah. And Texas has 3 preseason All-Americans on that defense. They've got Colin Simmons at defensive line, who is a havoc maker on the interior defensive line, as an edge rusher. You got Anthony Hill Jr. as a linebacker, and then former walk-on 4-year starter, the quarterback of that defense, and Michael Taffy, who again was a former walk-on and has just been an absolute player for them. It's coming back, and they're going to be tested in game 1 with Jeremiah Smith and that bunch. And I'm excited to see what Brian Hartline can draw up. But I think Texas has the horses to win this game on the road. But it's going to come with a lot of chaos, a lot of struggle. And FanDuel has Ohio State as a 2.5-point home favorite over the incoming Texas Longhorns. I think some of that's just because it's at the Shoe, it's in Columbus. It's going to be a test for Texas and Arch Manning, but I think the experience that Arch Manning is, and yes, Ohio State has 2 new coordinators, Brian Hartline and Matt Patricia, who both have a ton of experience, and I think they're going to be up for the task. But I think that what Texas is returning, especially defensively, you got an experienced quarterback in Arch Manning. If it's me, and I am a betting man, and I will be placing bets on this closer to time, I'm hoping that line's a little bit juicier for me, but I'm going to take Texas to win outright because I think they just return a lot, and I think that Steve Sarkisian is going to have those dudes ready to go at 11 a.m. in Columbus on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Texas too. I mean, I went back and forth on this one a lot. I would take, as of right now, I'm going to be taking Texas money line. And for me, the big thing is, the question is, can Arch live up to the hype? And I think that's kind of looming over this game. So I think Starks is such a good coach, and I think he's going to come in with such a smart game plan to get Arch comfortable early, get him some stuff that he likes, get him into rhythm. And I think that's ultimately going to be the difference, is a great game plan where he can get him to rhythm and go from there. And I think it's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be a low scoring game too. I don't know what the over under is at, but I'd like to. The under has me interested just because of how good these defenses are in the quarterback's first real big test. But low scoring game in my opinion, and I think ultimately Texas gets it done.
Yeah, the over-under is set at 47.5, which is kind of low. I mean, I think FanDuel's expecting a bit of a low-scoring game as well. That's 28-24, get you over that, 20, something like that. I don't know that either team is going to clear 25 points, and so I would be very, very tempted. Right now, you can get the under for -106. I think I would take Texas, and I would take the under on this game for sure.
Yeah, we might have to ride that one together then.
Yep. In the afternoon kickoff, we've got Alabama, Florida State, 2 teams that are on kind of a hinge, right? These 2 teams are kind of on the precipice here of which direction are they going to go. Michael Norvell, 2 years removed from an undefeated season where they were gypped by the college football playoff committee, some might say, and didn't get to play. And then last year they had a colossal failure. Right. Well, Alabama's on the same track, right? A couple years ago, they had Nick Saban. Kalen DeBoer went 9-4 in his first year last year at the helm. It's a solid year, but not quite Alabama expectations. As you well know, having gone to school in Auburn, you know what those Crimson Tide fans can do. This Alabama leads the series 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie with Florida State. Their last time they faced off was in 2017. Alabama won 24-7. I don't know that I trust this Norvell team yet. I like Tommy Costello, the quarterback that they got in from Boston College, and his moxie for calling out the Crimson Tide, that Nick Saban's not walking through that door. And I appreciate the confidence. But Alabama's got some dudes coming back on defense. They got a 3-year program guy in Ty Simpson at quarterback Zach. I just don't know that there's enough there to tell me that Florida State can shock the world.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's you see this matchup and your brain goes to Bama blows teams out in games like this. Week 1, early, Bama takes care of business, and it's a blowout. It's not even close. You try to, especially as an Auburn fan, all in the weeks leading up, you're like, I don't know, maybe so-and-so's frisky this year. And then Nick Saban would lead them into town, so prepared, they'd handle business, right? Every single time.
Yep.
It's different now, though. You know, is DeBoer bringing the same level of preparedness and mindset into week one? I think it'll be interesting to see. I think he probably not to the Nick Saban level, obviously, but I think he's going to have them ready. And I think that Florida State, like you said, I like Norvell. I think he's a good coach. Last year was a mess. They brought in new coordinators. I think they're going to be better this year. Are they going to be ready to take on Alabama week one? I don't think so.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I like they got some great transfers in, including a Tennessee receiver in Squirrel White. They've got a former Alabama running back, Roydell Williams. Like, they got some guys that are going to come in and help. But this is a game that Nick Saban would have them win by 4 touchdowns. It was a great call bringing that up. I think back to USC and Alabama a few years ago, right? USC was coming in with all the hype in the world. They came out barking like dogs, and Alabama walked the dog with them, like 54-6 or something ridiculous. And so I don't know that we'll have that on our hands. FanDuel has Alabama as a 13.5-point road favorite. Over-under is set at 50.5 points, which feels a bit high. But then again, we've seen Alabama hit that on their own in some of these early season games. I think Kalen DeBoer knows that his seat is getting hot, much like Mike Norvell does for sure. But I think, to me, this game has – based on the finickiness that is Alabama fans and the boosters in the school there, I think Kalen DeBoer has a bit more riding on this game, and I think he'll have this team ready with Ty Simpson going at quarterback. I look for Alabama to win, but I look for FSU to cover. I think this game's going to be a bit closer. Again, Nick Saban is not walking through that door. They do have Ryan Williams, which if I heard it once, I heard it 10,000 times last year. Zach, I don't know if you know this or not, but he was only 17 last year playing college football. I know, right? They said it 20 times every game. But I look for Florida State to cover. This one might be closer than people think. I think like a 24-17 Alabama win where it gets kind of ugly and they kind of have to lean on the running game a bit late. But I look for Alabama to win, but I'd take Florida State to cover 13.5.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, like, Ty Simpson, he lost the starting job to Milroe twice under 2 different head coaches. I just don't think he's the guy. I mean, I think last year might have been weird. Milroe had the locker room. Ultimately, DeBoer just has to go with him because it's his first season and he doesn't want to shake everything up. But I don't have a ton of confidence in Ty Simpson. But on the same end, Castellanos transferred in from BC. You know, he had some great moments, but that relationship didn't end well at BC. He ended up getting benched last year. Right. And so, but I do think, new OC for Florida State is Gus Malzahn, a man I'm very familiar with. And I think Castellanos is like kind of Gus's ideal quarterback. And I think he fits. Those two are going to end up throughout the season, probably making a good relationship. I think it's too early. Week one, I think Bama rolls pretty easily, but I see some early fight out of Florida State. Like, I think at the end of the first quarter, everyone's kind of like, are you watching this? And then middle of the third, fourth, I think Bama probably wins by, I think they cover, but it's like right on that line where they win by like 2 touchdowns and everyone's, that was close kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah. Well, we'll be watching them all again at Grind City Brewing starting at 11 a.m. We got us at 1:30. We got this game kicking off at 2:30. And then the nightcap in a Tiger-on-Tiger battle, right? We got LSU traveling to Clemson facing the number 2 team or top 5 team in the country, depending on what poll you look at. The Clemson Tigers, who are a 3.5. The line just moved. When I made this earlier today, it was 2.5. It just moved to a 3.5-point home favorite, being the Clemson Tigers. Over-under is set at 57.5. Zach, we've talked about quarterbacks a lot in this segment. You got 2 returning here, right? 2 Heisman hopefuls, 2 guys that took a chance to come back to college for one more year in Cade Klubnik for Clemson and Garrett Nussmeier for LSU. There's a lot of smoke around Nuss and his knee injury that he had a few weeks ago. Some saying it could be a partial ACL tear. Some saying it's just tendonitis. I'm not sure which one I believe. But I think I like Cade Klubnik at quarterback a bit better anyway. He's kind of more dynamic with his feet. He makes great decisions passing the ball. I think Clemson is loaded for bear. The sleeping giant that is Clemson, that has been Clemson for the last few years, kind of woke up a bit last year and started coming back around before the season ended, terribly losing to South Carolina in the regular season. But I think the sleeping giant that is Clemson is back. What are your thoughts on this Tiger clash in Clemson, South Carolina?
Yeah, this is one where it's LSU week 1, another big game. They've lost 5 straight now.
5 in a row.
5 in a row. And it's one of those things where it feels like it's probably the biggest matchup yet. It feels like, okay, this is the one where they finally get it done. They're not going to lose 6 straight. Brian Kelly was all fired up, being like, this is we're not going to do it again. And yet I'm with you. Everything tells me it's like, it's going to be LSU. They're not going to lose another one. And yet I like Clemson. I think Clemson's defense is going to be elite this year. Yeah. I think when it comes up to these matchups, like we're talking about, it's like you have the 2 quarterbacks that are super experienced on the same playing field, and then you have 2 big-time head coaches. And I lean Clemson in both. I think Dabo's going to outcoach Kelly, and I think Klubnik's going to be better than Nussmeier here. And it's at Clemson. Mm-hmm. I've been to a bunch of games there. That place is awesome environment. They're going to be fired up. They're going to be ready to go. They're going to be standing on that hill, and it's hard for me here to convince myself LSU is going to go in there and win that game.
If this game was in Atlanta or New Orleans or Dallas, I think it's a different story. But having to go to Clemson, it's going to be hot. It's going to be rowdy. It's going to be raucous. It's going to be at night. That place is going to be electric. You've got Clemson as a very experienced offensive line, returning their leading rusher. Again, Cade Klubnik added 7 rushing touchdowns last year, is dynamic with the football. Again, that Clemson defense is going to be elite this year. LSU has a lot of question marks. Their offensive line got ravaged by the NFL draft, including Will Campbell, who was a top pick by the New England Patriots, and they're having to rebuild a lot, which if we know anything about LSU, they just 3D print offensive linemen down there, rinse and repeat. Just great guys that come through that program. But this year, there are some question marks about it. LSU's defense was awful last year. Awful. Like, they gave up bukus of yards in just about every game that they played, and was why they lost a lot of games. I'm looking at Notre Dame. I'm looking at almost losing to South Carolina, and I'm looking at some of the other games, Alabama, like these games they could have been in. Their defense was out of it. They are getting Harold Perkins back. Harold Perkins is like the true wild card for me here, Zach, because when he's healthy, he is the best linebacker in the country. And it's not close. His athleticism, intelligence, speed, like just an incredible prototypical linebacker, but has had a lot of health concerns. Whit Weeks is great. His brother Wes is great. They're both coming back as well. But there's just still a lot of question marks around that defense. And Brian Kelly, to me, has yet to show that he can win the big game. And this is a big game. Like, this is probably the biggest game that he has had to coach in thus far at LSU. And he's had to coach against Alabama and Auburn in some big-time matchups already. But this one right here, like, if you lose your 6th straight home opener, there's going to be a lot of questions around Brian Kelly. There's going to be a lot of unrest amongst the villagers that are the LSU faithful. And I think his seat starts, like that heat on that seat starts dialing up a little bit of, is this the guy that's going to get us over the hump?
Yeah, I think, obviously, number 1, Texas, going off against the defending national champions in Ohio State. I actually think this is the more important game when we look back on the entire season in a couple months, because I think no matter what happens in that Texas-Ohio State game, both those dogs are going to be in the hunt at the end of the year. I think for LSU and Clemson, like, this could really change the trajectories of their seasons. I mean, Clemson has the benefit, obviously, in playing in the weaker ACC, and is probably going to be in it no matter what. But for LSU, it's like so important for them getting off on the right foot to be able to really build the confidence that they're going to need going through. A lot of people are picking LSU to win the SEC this year. I've seen it everywhere, and that's kind of like the trendy pick recently. And I think if that's going to happen, they're going to have to show me a lot on Saturday night.
Agreed, because Alabama still plays in the SEC. Texas is in the SEC. I think South Carolina has a better shot of winning the SEC than LSU does because they are a bit more of a complete team than LSU is. But we'll know more Saturday night because if LSU can go to Clemson and put their stamp on this season early and take care of business and handle Cade Klubnik and keep that offense at bay, then I think we're having a completely different conversation. But if they cannot win, and sitting here right now, the line has moved to 3.5, I am going to take Clemson to win by a touchdown. I think that is, even if LSU falls short a competitive game, there's going to be whispers, there's going to be naysayers, there's going to be people that are going to start questioning what Brian Kelly is going to be able to do with that program. And when you start having those type questions in week 1, Zach, is going to make for a long season on Bayou.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at, and kind of why I proposed that scenario is just because if they go in there and it doesn't go their way, I think all of a sudden each week becomes bigger and bigger for them, and you start to feel that pressure, and the hot seats, it gets just turned up a little bit every week, and all of a sudden in the back of their mind. Whereas if they win, all of a sudden everything goes, oh, well, we're going to take care of business this year. Exactly. Look at us. We went on the road. We got this confidence. And I mean, that's why these big matchups are so fun early in the season, because it can just, for a lot of these teams, it can just make or break, kind of the wheels start falling off, or, you put it into gear and start taking off.
That's it. And with the schedule that still includes road games at Oklahoma and at Alabama, they've got Florida and South Carolina coming to Death Valley. It's not a must win, but it's damn near it. Like it's one game that Brian Kelly truly needs. And again, sitting here right now, I just don't know that I can take LSU to win on the road.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost a must win because it probably shouldn't be, but because of the past year's history and the past year's losing, then all of a sudden you just kind of, all of that starts creeping up on your shoulders, and then it adds that pressure. And that's the thing too, is, Davos, he doesn't buy into all this stuff. He's going to have the guys locked in on a mission. I feel like LSU might already be feeling the pressure of the conversations that we're having right now.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Well, y'all make sure you come out this Saturday and watch all these great games. There's going to be plenty more on the side TVs. These are the ones on the big projectors. I'm going to be there. Zach's going to be on the show. Kenny's going to be there on the show. We're going to be enjoying some Grind City Brewing beers, watching football. But one team we won't watch, Zach, and after this quick bumper video, we'll talk about your alma mater, who plays on Friday. We'll get you ready for the Auburn Tigers season coming up right after this. That's right. We had Zach on a couple of weeks ago, and we kind of highlighted Auburn briefly, but I wanted to take a little bit of time here today to talk about it as they kick off their season on Friday at Baylor, 7 o'clock on Fox kickoff. Zach, has your mind changed any about what this season looks like for Auburn, or are you still pretty high on the Tigers?
I'm very high on the Tigers. I'm probably dangerous levels of disappointment high on the Tigers right now. But I do think that it, like, so much, as we were just talking about with like how LSU's season could go and everything like that. I mean, I think you quadruple that about how Friday night goes for Auburn. I think it could parlay us into a really fun, solid season. Or it could just be, you're going to see me on Saturday on cloud 9, or you're going to see a broken man who's fighting through the pain to try to have a good Saturday watching football. It's going to be one of the two.
That's it, man. And I think Auburn can get that first game. Again, they're a 2.5-point road favorite at Baylor on FanDuel.com. I think that, like, Auburn has the more talent, but it all comes down to quarterback. As you see him here on your screen, Jackson Arnold has had a rough fall and summer camp so far, if you believe the reports coming out about Hugh Freeze having to dial back the defense, and seeing some of the videos of him and Hugh Freeze not seeing eye to eye, I'll say, on a few things. And so, Zach, have you heard anything? I know you're a bit closer to the source than I am. What's the latest on Jackson Arnold's development at quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't love, I talked about it last time, I didn't love the way that Hugh came out and said the defense was going to be taking it a little bit easy on him, even though that's something that pretty much happens at every, camp across the country. I think the videos and everything, which seems to happen a lot with Auburn, it gets blown out of proportion a little bit. I think them getting into it and not seeing eye to eye is like, that's football, man. I mean, your coach is going to just get into your ass sometimes. And that's just the way, that's just football. And I think that I like to see it. I mean, I think some hard coaching is probably something that Jackson Arnold needs. And I think Hugh has high expectations for him and is demanding that. And I think there is a lot of talent in the position behind him. I know there's been all kinds of stories breaking about Auburn has 3 offensive coordinators, one that calls plays on first down, one that calls them on third down, and then Hugh can override at any time. And then Hugh saying that we could play all 3 quarterbacks. So it's like, do we have 3 OCs and 3 quarterbacks, and what's going on? I think a lot of that has been blown out of proportion. I think the original quote kind of was, I don't want to say misleading, but I think it was just one of those things where, like, we have a first down specialist, we have a third down specialist. That's not uncommon. And then, of course, Hugh is a play caller, and so he kind of is very involved in the play calling. But I think they are going to have a rhythm down. Arnold's the guy. The depth chart came out today, and Arnold was the starting quarterback. I think you could see some situations where we could bring in one of our backups, but I think it's Arnold's team. I think Hugh has confidence in him. I think most importantly, the weapons that Arnold has around him, with a good offensive line for Auburn, dogs at the receiver position, we're going to run the ball well. And then, as far as this exact matchup, Baylor's secondary seems to be like they're a little worried about it this year from what I've heard. And if that's the case and we're able to make some big plays on Friday night, I think that just boosts everybody's confidence on the offensive side. The playmakers get fired up. Arnold gets some confidence behind him, and we can kind of light it up. I mean, it's going to be a hostile environment. They're pulling out all the stops in Waco. We got Friday night game, blackout game, chrome helmet game. I mean, they're pulling out all the stops. So it's going to be an electric environment. And Baylor has a ton of experience, especially on the offensive side. They released their depth chart for the game, like ahead of the game, and every single offensive starter for Baylor has 3+ years of experience. That is a lot of experience. And I think their offense is going to be good. I think they are going to put up some points on us, but I think our defensive line is going to get enough pressure to stop them in some big moments. And I think that our receivers against their secondary is ultimately the matchup that kind of decides the game. And they just don't have the Jimmies and Joes to guard our receivers. And I think it's going to be one of those weird games where we kind of struggle on some of our drives. Like it looks a little gross with some 3 and outs and like getting into rhythm. But I think there's going to be a big play. Big play. Arnold's going to get it to one of our playmakers in that first quarter, maybe second quarter, that's going to bust open our offense. And that is kind of where we take off, and we're able to kind of get into a better rhythm, and we're able to get the job done.
So some betting insights for you from last year. As you see on your screen here, Auburn was 5-6-0 against the spread last year on FanDuel. The Auburn Tigers and their opponents combined to hit the over 4 out of 11 games last season. And Auburn finished 2-4 in games when they were listed as the money line favorite last season. So going back to our game on Friday night, Auburn is a 2.5-point favorite, and the over-under is set at 57.5. So if they're going to stay true to some of those numbers, they're going to have to score a bunch of points. And I think Auburn, as you said, has the guys to do it. Bringing back what's his name? I just blanked on. I was pulling it up. Cam Coleman.
Yeah.
And then Eric Singleton Jr. You got some guys that can play wide receiver, and Auburn is looking to have their first 2,000-yard receivers in 2025. For the first time they hadn't hit it'd be the first time in 2 decades that they've had 2 1,000-yard receivers. And there's some hype around this receiving core that they can do that. But you mentioned the defense, and Phil Steele, everybody knows Phil Steele. He does all of his college football analytics, and he publishes a ton of team previews and magazines and stuff. Is thinking that the defense is trending upward. You brought up that defense is going to be tested by Baylor, bringing back a lot of experience on offense. But Auburn went from a negative 45 yards per game SEC differential. So they were 45 yards worse in 2023 to being plus 62 yards per game in 2024. And a lot of that is credited to just improvements up front, not getting beat off the line and in the trenches, and Auburn just figuring out who their dudes are on defense. I think if that trend continues, I think they start the season off 1-0, traveling to Baylor and getting that win. And they'll need it because after Baylor, you've got Ball State and South Alabama, some tune-up games. And then you hit a bit of a gauntlet where you travel to Norman, you travel to College Station, then you get Georgia and Missouri at home all before the calendar turns to November. We'll know a lot about Auburn at the end of that. And then you got Arkansas, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mercer, and Alabama to finish out the season. Zach, you've got to get some momentum early. And that's where Hugh Freeze has struggled, right? It's like he can't seem to get out of his own way sometimes, and they'll lose some games they're not supposed to. They won't show up for some. But Friday night feels like a tone setter for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those games where if we win, it seems so exciting of what the future can hold. And especially if we go out there and play well and we see Arnold step up and fill the role that we need him to fill. If we lose a gross game there, it's just so, for the fan base, I think it's going to be so deflating and so frustrating because I think the way the schedule, obviously you're in the SEC, you got a tough schedule, but I really actually like the way the schedule falls for us this year. I mean, I think it's like Oklahoma, A&M, road games, probably splitting those somewhere. I think for me, I think we can beat Oklahoma, and I think we'll probably lose to A&M. And then, you get Georgia at home, you get Bama at home, Missouri, Kentucky, Arkansas are all winnable games, in my opinion, for the Tigers this year. So it's just one of those things where we have to get it rolling early. And a Baylor team that's going to be good this year, and as the season moves on and Baylor kind of moves up and wins some games and starts getting ranked, if we can have a win against them and build some confidence on the road as a team early, I think it's going to be so important.
Yeah. All right, man. As we start to wrap this up, I got 2 last things for you. Give me a prediction for Friday night, and then give me a season prediction on a win-loss total for Auburn.
All right. So I like the Tigers to win. I like 28-17.
Okay.
Is where I see it right there. And so I like us to score some big play touchdowns, create a couple turnovers. I think we can hold Baylor to a couple field goals. 28-17 is my prediction there. And then for the season, I'm going 9-3.
He's going for it. He is going for 9-3. 9-3, and Hugh Freeze is getting a contract extension. Things are looking up for the Auburn Tigers. That gives you likely an upset of either Alabama and or Georgia. And 9-3 is a strong season on the Plains.
Yep. I'm putting it all out there now. Depending on how Friday night goes, we could be talking out here on Saturday, and I could be singing a completely different tune. But for now, I'm sticking with my guys. I think we're in the contention for a at-large college football playoff spot bid, and I think we have some big wins, and I'm absolutely pumped up for this season.
And he is not setting himself up for heartbreak whatsoever by that prediction. Like, bold prediction.
No.
Your fan is not short for fanatic for no reason, right? Like, you've got to have hope.
I will be hurt every single time because I'm going into I'll be hurt. I don't care. I'm going in. I'm fired up. And if not now, then when? Yeah. Is kind of where I'm at. Where it's like we've had some terrible years. I like the roster. If it's not now, I'm afraid it's going to be a very long time from now. So I'm going all in now while I can.
I like it. I like the confidence as a fan of a school that's still way back there. Like, I can appreciate the boldness in the prediction. So, Zach, I've kept you for an hour. I told you it's going to be around 45 minutes, and I've kept you for an hour. I appreciate you giving me an hour of your time today. tell the folks about, you've got a new venture on social media as well. Tell them about that real quick as we start to wrap up the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called Tape Don't Die, D-Y-E. And that is a nod to Pat Dye and a little Auburn lore there. But yeah, so it's basically like a social media venture kind of that you're talking about. We're talking Auburn football. It's a lot of edits, hype videos, breaking down some tape, and then, talking some Auburn football with the guys. It's me and two of my buddies from college, and we're just diehard, irrational Auburn fans. And so it's by fans, kind of for the fans situation there. And we're super excited about it. So, if you're interested in Auburn football or SEC football, or if you hate Auburn football and want to watch Auburn fans crash out, because I promise you we will, whatever happens this year, it's going to be entertaining. So, give us a follow on all social media. It's at Tape Don't Die, D-Y-E. And we're having a good time over there. You've seen some of the content. It's going to be fun going on this season. And we're just having a good time with it, trying to, just show how crazy we are as SEC football fans, because we are absolutely insane.
That's it, man. It is good content. Go check out the guys. You can tell there's a lot of good chemistry there. They have been through the highs and lows that is Auburn football together, and it shows on camera as they talk about it. And so excited for that venture. Even as an anti-Auburn football fan, like, I can appreciate that venture and excited to kind of see it grow and evolve. But that's going to do it for your Wednesday edition of the 2 Buck Sports Show. I'm your co-host, as always, Rusty Buckets, coming to you live here at 11 a.m. Central Time on Bluff City Media's YouTube. Shout out to Zach Callaghan of Grind City Brewing for being here with me today. Zach, we've got some big things ahead, right? We've got week 1 right there live at Grind City this Saturday, 1:30 kickoff show. We're going to be doing more shows throughout the rest of college football season. Got some other big events coming up this fall. I know we're super excited to partner with y'all for this show and for the events coming up. It's been a great partnership and a lot of fun working through this already. We've got some great giveaways and swag and stuff for Saturday to come go along with the show, and we can't wait to be there, buddy. Thanks for joining me today for sure.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I can't wait for Saturday. It's going to be an absolute blast.
Looking forward to it. I will see y'all back here tomorrow. In the meantime, go be a friend to somebody who needs a friend, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the 2 Buck Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. We'll see you back here next time.